hear about this course in Malta?
I actually found out about it through San Diego State University. I applied there for their MBA program, and then when I was looking through to find a focus or a concentration for my MBA, there's this little link on their website that said Malta program, and I clicked into it, and I was sold pretty much immediately. Once I Google searched what Malta was, I was here pretty much.
Funny story. Followed the Phoenicians, ancient civilization from the Lebanese area originally, and was really interested in the way they traveled and got across the Mediterranean. And saw they came across something called Malta. Was like, Malta, I'll have to check this out. Did a little bit of a history research, and said this place looks awesome. It's got history from the Phoenicians up to now. Before the Phoenicians had a huge involvement in World War II. I said, I gotta go.
You know, I did my undergrad in conflict analysis in DC, and this was, it felt like a really good choice because it was 1 year, the price was right, it was Malta. So I said, let's go and do it.
I kind of stumbled across it. I wanted to go back to university. I've been out of education for about 4 years. I was traveling around the world. And I kind of looked into different stems of courses that I could do. I wanted to do something in counselling because I had a background in psychology, but I had a background in sociology as well. So this course really brought the two of them together for me. So that's basically how I ended up here. I just stumbled across it on the internet, applied, and luckily I was accepted.
I received a random email, and I knew I'd always wanted to travel internationally. I had to find out where Malta was, but once I did, and I learned more about the program, I just knew that was the thing for me.
So you couldn't even find us on the map?
No, I had no idea before I came here what Malta was. I actually thought it was a Caribbean island at first. That's what I had in my head. It sounded Spanish to me for some reason. So yeah, I did a little Google search, found out what it was, mostly looked at the images, and it just looked beautiful. And then I looked into the program, realized that it was a dual degree program taught internationally, and with two prestigious schools behind it, it was really just the right way to go.
Friends and family react to the fact that you were leaving?
For the most part, they thought it was really, really cool. My mom was a little nervous, but she encourages my brothers and I to be very independent. So, for the most part, very supportive.
I actually came with my wife and my 2 kids who are, I'll be right there. So it was a big move for us, but it's been fantastic. You know, even with as intense as the studies are, we've been able to spend a lot of time as a family versus I'm working, she's working. So it's actually been a really, really fantastic.
What about the standard of the course itself, of the degree itself? Were you satisfied with the level of lecturing?
I am very satisfied. These degrees come from 2 prestigious universities with programs that have spawned great intellectuals in the past few years, and they're very well recognized and continuing to be recognized. This program is just fantastic. You're not going to find it anywhere else, and the experiences and networks that you make within this program will carry you for a while.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the way it's set up. I think you can really take what you want out of it. If it's a subject that you don't think will be useful or something that you're not very interested in, you can kind of ease back and get through it without really taking it on heavily. But if it's something you're interested in or something you think it will be particularly good to know in the future, you can dive into it and absorb a lot more, and especially with the professors and the faculty and everything here. If you want to know more, they're always happy to give you extras or really drive you to find more than is necessarily required. So.
Absolutely. From both sides, from George Mason and from University of Malta. Both were highly intense, but they were fair. So if you applied yourself, the work was, you could get through the work. And more so just from the intensity of the course and the professors, working with such a diverse group of students was absolutely amazing. I mean, we had students from Iran and Lebanon, and Egypt and Russia and Canada and US, so it was a very diverse group, and I really felt like you learned just as much from that as from what we were being taught in lectures.
It's unbelievable. It's one of the best educational experiences I've ever had because we weren't just numbers in a class, we were students who had names, who had proper identities. They knew everything about us, our lecturers. So they knew what areas that they could tap into us to help us to explore more about ourselves and to grow as individuals and things. And with the course content, it was very much explorative, where there was never a wrong answer. It was like, what do you believe in? What do you think? It was really, really good.
My initial impression was that it was more formal than what I was used to. But it was just interesting seeing some of the differences. And I also serve on the board of studies, so I got to see both sides and how they interact. And I think to the best of their abilities, it's working beautifully. Still, some minor details to work out. But
You get a chance to meet people from all over the world. You get a chance to learn different things and continue to debate important things that are important to you and balance their discuss it with over other people.
I think interacting with students and people from all over the world was the biggest eye-opener. I had a student in China in my class. And China's always been kind of a intimidating thing, especially if you listen to the media. It's, China's taking over, but I had a Chinese classmate, and I realized Chinese people are amazing, and China's amazing, and there's nothing to fear really. It's just the diversity of all my classmates and the diversity of everyone in Malta really just allowed me to explore cultures and adapt and really become a better person myself.
And how would you compare your experience here in Malta with the one you had during your undergraduate degree back in the States?
Very, very different. And just the environment itself is very different. Clearly, location in that regard. As far as the environment in Malta is, I don't know about this. I like it a lot better, is the best way to put it. I think you meet people that you're not going to meet back in the U.S. It's a cultural diversity.
So you prefer Malta to your home country?
Okay, I think there's a lot of benefits to Malta. I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon. But Malta it's really a great place for an education experience.
You must have had a couple of frustrating moments.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's an education. I mean, it's a dual master's degree program. And by no means is this a walk in the park. Long nights, lots of readings. But it was, at this point in time, I can say it was worth it.
There are so many, I can't just name one, because when you do a counselling course, a lot of the work is personal, so you're going into your deepest, darkest fears and doubts about yourself and about things around you. And sometimes it's not really easy, especially when you're trying to study for a master's. So there were loads of times that I kind of went, oh, am I doing the right thing? Is this worth it? But our group got so close to one another, and we were such a support to one another, that when I felt like that, there was always somebody there to say, no, you can do this, you can pull through. And in turn, I was that person for somebody else when it was their turn. So the group dynamic really, really helped.
There was a few times where it was just kind of like, feel like I can't breathe kind of deal. But it's doable, time management, and you can easily, not easily, but you can get through this program if you work it the right way.
How are you going to make sure that what you learned is going to be integrated?
I think specifically in our program, we used a lot of practical knowledge, or they taught us practical things. It wasn't so much memorize this, it was more, this is how things are completed, now let's go try it. And we did very practical things. And I think it wasn't so focused on imparting knowledge on us, but developing ourselves as learners and as people who can go out and basically make things happen instead of just regurgitating information. It was good.
I think there's a lot of things the classroom can teach you that you can't get out in the real world, just as I think that it goes vice versa. But I think this program does a really good job in bringing you the right experience to make it applicable to the field. We even took a few field trips to really ground that in. A trip to Cyprus to look at the Cypriot conflict, and that really hit home with what we learned in the classroom and tied it all together.
The reason I don't agree with that is because I already have colleagues from this program who are working in diplomacy, they're working in non-governmental organizations, they're working in development work. So I feel for really a program like this, because it's so short, it makes you think about the future and the next step, perhaps even more so than your normal master's degree, because you're in it all the time. It becomes part of your life, and those conversations that you're having with your colleagues, they're all geared towards what's next. So I think this program, it facilitates that. It keeps us moving forward.
And does it help that this master's course is recognized various universities and is not just tied to one university?
Absolutely, that was one of the big draws, is that you're not only earning a degree from a U.S. university, but you're getting a European university also, and I think that's very powerful, especially as we enter an international marketplace, to have that the collaborative degree. It's a really good thing, and I think employers will love it. And I've learned so much outside the classroom from exploring different cultures and things like that I think I would in just a regular American university or European universities.
So many people have undergraduate degrees, especially in the United States now, that a master's degree is kind of a natural progression. But having a master's degree where you also have international experience is a big component for the type of work that we do. So being able to say, I worked with this diverse group of people, I've traveled to Cyprus, I've traveled to North Africa, I'm familiar with Europe, I know the Euro-Mediterranean region very well. That enhances this degree, and I think it absolutely will enhance future prospects.
Highly. How will this degree be relevant in 10 years' time, you think?
I think because they didn't teach us specific information, but they taught us more how to think and analyze, that it's something that we will really be able to use forever. They trained us to think. They didn't teach us things. They trained us to think, and that's, I think, the most valuable and important thing. So.
Thank you.
I think it will be extremely relevant in 10 years' time, because if we look at how our societies are changing, people are moving. You made a comment there about the distance between Malta and the US. There is no distance anymore. You hop on a plane and within a couple of hours you're halfway around the world. So having the skills and the knowledge that I gained in this course means that no matter where I work, I can work.
I think for us in particular, a conflict resolution degree will always be relevant. There's always been conflict, there will always be conflict. And I think with the way institutions are growing, 2 degrees looks a little better than 1.
Well, I think that's part of being human, without getting too philosophical, but I think our lens is constantly changing. And I think that this program in particular, conflict analysis, it helps that lens develop so you can be open to whatever comes next in life.
If you had to sum up your experience in just one word, what would it be?
Repeat.
You actually want to start all over again?
Okay, I meant that as in, I would do it again.
Amazing.
Diversity.
Okay.
It was brilliant.